spent Monday and Tuesday breaking down so much of college football and the NFL that I never really got around to talking about the Serena Williams mess from over the weekend. But I want to weigh in on this right now. So let me play you the audio. If you didn't hear it, you might have also been focused on college football and the NFL and not have noticed it as much. But here is Serena. Listen closely.
That is a point penalty, by the way, for Serena Williams because that was her second code violation. She got a warning for coaching, which she was very quick to tell Carlos Ramos was not coaching. It was just her coach, Patrick Mortagalou, giving her a thumbs up to say, let's go. But no doubt about that racket smashed to the ground after being broken. And we see the twisted remnants of that racket right behind her chair. Let's actually, hang on, let's hear what Serena's saying to Carlos Ramos. I don't think she realized she'd be down low 15.
I didn't get coaching. You need to make an announcement that I didn't get coaching. I don't cheat. I didn't get coaching. How can you say that?
The fact that Serena's still...
You owe me an apology.
You owe me an apology.
You owe me an apology. I have never cheated in my life. I have a daughter and I stand what's right for her and I've never cheated. And you owe me an apology. You will never do it again.
So it looks like Serena's trying to find something to get herself fired up because the code violation for coaching in the first set, she told him, I know why you had to call it, but I didn't cheat. And now that she's down a point, she went back to that topic.
So this kind of grew, and then it turned into this massive mushroom cloud where Serena, in her post-match interview, tried to argue that this was sexism and now racism, and there's a cartoon in Australia. And all of this is just raising the question. Why, when people behave in a way that is outside the norm of acceptable conduct, right? Like when you argue with an official, why did Serena Williams decide to say that she's a mom? And then in the post-match, why did she decide to say, oh, this is about being a woman, this is about being a black woman? Why every time that somebody gets remotely in trouble now, do they claim that the reason they're getting in trouble is because some part of their identity? So I think we've gone way off the deep end here in the way that we respond in sports. I think sports has gotten all kind of wrapped up in this too. If you hear that and the way this story was covered, you would think, oh, these officials treat women so much worse than men. Do you know that somebody went back and looked at the U.S. Open and said, okay, how often were penalty points assessed in the U.S. Open over the course of the entire tennis tournament this year? And I believe I'm correct that 88 times penalties were assessed against men and 22 times penalties were assessed against women. So you were actually much more likely to have a penalty assessed against you if you were male than if you were female. And what happens here is, and I think this has become pretty ridiculous in general, is people want to use their race and their sex as an excuse to justify their behavior. I don't think being black or being a woman had anything at all to do with the way that people responded to Serena Williams there. Did anybody watch that and think, oh my God, Serena Williams is the victim here? Because her coach admitted that he was coaching. So the official, maybe you can a little bit say, you know what, just overlook it. Don't ever turn it into an issue. But I didn't see Serena Williams as remotely the victim here. And as soon as this story happened, she immediately labeled herself a victim. And that comes to a larger question. Why does everybody want to be a victim now? Sports culture is about the opposite of victimization. It's about owning your own success. We're going to talk about this with Jason Whitlock in Hour 3, but I want to open up the phone lines and take some of your calls to start Hour 3 here. What did you think about this Serena incident? What were your thoughts in general? We have got a clip now from Serena Williams. She argued she's a mom. She wasn't cheating. Well, in her post-match press conference, she then decided to say this was an example of how women are being treated unfairly. Here's what that sounded like.
I can't sit here and say I wouldn't
say he's a thief because I thought he took a game from me, but I've seen other men call other umpires several things, and I'm here fighting for women's rights and for women's equality and for all kinds of stuff. And for me to say thief and for him to take a game, it made me feel like it was a sexist remark. I mean, like, how he's never took a game from a man because they said thief. For me, it blows my mind. But I'm going to continue to fight for women and to fight for us to have equal. Like, Courtney should be able to take her shirt off without getting a fine. Like, this is outrageous, And I just feel like the fact that I have to go through this is just an example for the next person that has emotions and that want to express themselves and they want to be a strong woman, and they're going to be allowed to do that because of today. Maybe it didn't work out for me, but it's going to work out for the next person.
Thank you, everyone. All right, so the media actually starts to clap there. If you've ever questioned what side of the political equation the media is on, the fact that they are in a press conference and clapping and cheers erupt after Serena Williams breaks tennis rules, gets called on it, says she doesn't cheat even though her coach admits that he was coaching her from the crowd and everybody does it. And in fact, there have been over 100 penalties levied for just that in the U.S. Open. 80% of them levied against men, 20% of them levied against women. And then Serena Williams decides that she's going to blame sexism for the way that she was treated. And the media applauds her. This, to me, is evidence of people just not being willing to call out the truth, which is Serena cheated. She got caught in it. She tried to say she was a mom, and she never cheated. Is this a grand, like, Lance Armstrong-related cheating conspiracy where you're, like, blood doping and stuff? No. But why are you mad at the official? Because he caught your coach coaching you, and because you have made the decision to look at him and be coached, and your coach already admitted it.
She's the only reason I even pay attention to women's tennis, so I'm a fan of her play. She acted like a spoiled little brat, like a little kid kind of there on the court. You get caught with your coach like that, just move past that. And the way she reacted and got so heated at him.
And said, I'm a mom?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, your daughter is like a year old. So your daughter is not sitting around watching the U.S. Open, and your daughter wouldn't even notice if you lost a point.
Right.
Because you were getting coached. It's something that there were 100 penalties assessed in the U.S. Open. I mean, this whole behavior was really strange.
I can't remember if it was HBO or Showtime, but recently on one of those channels, they did a special on Serena where they followed her around for a few weeks. And it gave us, as Serena fans, tons of insight to her life. She's a really good person. She's fiery, and that's what makes her a competitor on the tennis court. The problem is you can't go off like that, breaking the racket and then showing up the judge like that. It's a bad look for her. And then sitting there at the table, I was really surprised that the press clapped like that, because you should be unbiased as if they're a tennis journalist or whatever they are covering that event. I mean, can you imagine us, Clay, getting away with something and then trying to reach like that? Well, and you saying, you get suspended by Fox and you saying, but I'm a dad.
Yeah,
okay.
That would look ridiculous.
That doesn't have anything to do with your behavior. So as much as I am a fan of hers, her behavior was just such a bad look.
Eddie Garcia, this is crazy, right? To say I'm a mom, and also then to say, like, oh, the reason why I was being, disciplined for breaking the rules is because I'm a woman.
Yeah, I totally agree with Danny, and she looked so bad to me in all of this. And to kind of take it on another level, this young woman that won the tournament, Naomi Osaka, Serena totally stole all of her thunder.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe you could say, well, she doesn't have to look out for her opponent. Well, last time I checked, that was another woman, and she's talking about standing up for women. And here she just completely, the crowd turned on this young woman. She's in tears after this event, accepting her trophy, and is apologizing for winning because of the spectacle that happened almost exclusively because of what Serena Williams did. I thought it was it was a really bad look for a great champion.
It's a really strange position to take, too, because you're playing as another woman. So why would you say this is an example of sexism when the person who is benefiting is another woman? If she had been playing against a man, then maybe you can at least make an argument, oh, the woman's being treated differently than the man, but her competitor was female, so Serena Williams being penalized benefits another woman.
And there's also, it also seems like for people who maybe didn't pay close attention that this point was a real costly moment in the game. She would have lost anyway, even if that point hadn't been deducted for her. The game, I should say, hadn't been deducted for her. So to make it seem like this was the reason why she lost as well also was, I thought, really bad.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I just think and by the way, I think maybe the most egregious behavior of all of this is the sports media clapping this and giving it legitimacy by broadcasting her sexism allegations, which later turned into racism allegations after there's a cartoon that comes out making fun of her over her behavior. It's crazy to me. It's a sign of not the media not calling balls and strikes, right? Not being impartial and just trying to treat everyone fairly. You can't clap at a press conference.
You and I have been in those post-game press conferences in other sports, and maybe the only time you'd ever see something like that is if a guy was playing his final game of his storied career, and they might do something like that. But in that instance, I was shocked when I heard the applause.
877-996-6369. Let me get some of your calls in. Dub is fielding the calls there in Nashville. Let me go to, I think, Gary in Virginia first. Gary, what do you think here?
Okay, Clay, you guys are absolutely right on your points. And I'll tell you what, first of all, there's the media. It's real simple. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. As long as they pull the social justice card, they're right all of a sudden. It's like Colin Kaepernick. I'm wearing a Fidel Castro communist shirt, but no one's calling me out on it because they want to take an issue, an agenda that I'm pulling for them. It's the same thing. It's already been said. She acted like a petulant little child. She didn't take losing well because she's used to winning. And then she makes it ridiculous. You know what she needs to do is pull up some old tapes of John McEnroe and see what the judges did with John McEnroe, who constantly was a great player that acted like a petulant little child. Please, people, grow up.
Yeah, you know what? Thanks for the call. Here's the question. What is Serena even arguing that she wants? The ability to be a jerk in an equal way that men are jerks? I mean, John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors used to get penalized 30 years ago when they would scream all the time at judges. I don't remember Roger Federer. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't remember Roger Federer, who is certainly the Serena Williams equivalent of men, ever get in yelling matches with judges and say, I'm a dad. You know, I don't remember him ever going into a post-match press conference and making an argument that he was mistreated because he's Swiss or because he's a man. Like, it makes no sense to me. All right, Dub, what are we doing here? Who am I going to try to talk to?
Let's go to Gary in Virginia.
All right, Gary in Virginia is up now.
Hey, Clay, how are you, sir?
Excellent.
Yeah, the point I wanted to make is, all right, for one, in the cartoon, it's a caricature. You exaggerate the features to a grotesque or comical manner. And the whole sexist and racist thing, it's two minority women competing against each other with a minority umpire. So, where's your stance on that?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for the call. That's a great point. Like, I don't even understand where the sexism and the racism is coming into play. You are a minority playing against another minority, and the judge is a minority. So I just, it's easy to just immediately say everything is sexist and racist. I don't even know how you could make that argument here. Of course, the media was clapping over it. Joe in Jacksonville. What's up, Joe?
Don't these people have PR directors or someone to let them know, listen, this is unbecoming to the sport, to you as an individual, it's going to hurt your legacy. And I don't totally blame the players because they get conditioned with people kissing their butts everywhere they go because of what they do on the court. But don't they have PR people to help them realize you can't do this? And the other thing, tennis has got to start enforcing the rules. I'm a big Rafa Nadal fan, and I think he's the epitome of class and how you conduct yourself. But he takes way too much time to hit his serves, and they're not enforcing the rule. So they need to enforce these rules more consistently. And again, how can she not realize she's hurting her legacy with her behavior? You touched on it, you never see Roger act that way or Rafa Nadal. And if you watch enough tennis, you hear Patrick McEnroe, Chris Everett say what a privilege it is to watch people like Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer play. And part of that admiration is how they carry themselves. How can Serena not understand that there's no room for that type of behavior, especially in the public eye and on a stage such as that?
Thanks for the call. I don't have a problem with an athlete getting upset and yelling at an official. That happens. You lose control of your emotions. I think that's human because oftentimes when you are competing in a sport, you are playing on the edge of your ability and your emotions sometimes can spill over. I don't have any issue with that at all. What I have an issue with is when you finish that match. First of all, Serena arguing that she didn't cheat because she's a mom is a thoroughly ludicrous thing to say. Okay? That is you're a mom. Deal. Good. Congratulations. So are the vast majority of women in this country at some point in their lives. They will all be moms. That doesn't somehow cancel out their misbehavior, right? You don't get like Danny G said, I'm a dad of 3. I don't get to say anytime I mess up, well, as a dad, I would never mess up. Like that is a flawed argument on its face. But the bigger issue is you go into your press conference after you misbehaved and after you stole away the excitement from this young woman you're playing against who just won her first ever Grand Slam, and you argue that you were mistreated because you were a woman, and the press applauds you. That's even worse than making the argument of, I wouldn't cheat because I'm a mom. Now you're saying, I was mistreated because I was a woman. It's just not true. And the media laps it up and claps for her. Because the sports media, spoiler alert, wants America to be an awful, unfair place. And anytime somebody says America is an awful, unfair place, they praise them to the high heavens. Marshall in Georgia, what's up?
Shouldn't Serena's track record speak for herself here? I mean, wasn't it just a few years ago where she told an official she was going to shove a effing ball down their throat for making a bad call against her?
Yes.
This isn't the first outburst that she's had, and every time she doesn't get her way, this seems to be what she does. I mean, it's like the typical spoiled brat behavior. I didn't get my way, so I'm going to play the victim card. And I don't know. It's one of those things I'm just getting sick of hearing about.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the call. John in New York City. What's up, John?
Point. Oh, there we go. It took a second to get me up. This is the tipping point. This is jumping the shark, Clay. Okay? I think even on the Twitter troll, leftist capital Twitter, you went on there, Billie Jean King and all the other luminaries from that sport tried to defend her, and they got killed. This is the tipping point of the crossroads of victimization, injecting politics, agenda, not objective-driven reporters. People saw this exactly for what it was. There was no mistaking it, okay? She was wrong. Not because she was a mother, because she was wrong. She was losing. Not because she was a woman, but because she was losing. You know what I'm saying? Like, the facts were the facts, and even when you saw, the commentators had, like Chris Effort said she was losing, and then Martina Navratilova said, you were losing. You're 100% wrong in everything you did. The facts don't bear out what you're trying to say. Everything that happened, okay? And then on the woke, report at First Take, Molly Quorum, well, look at everything else that's happened to her. Please, okay? Even Stephen A. Smith couldn't defend her actions.
Thanks for the call. Look, I think what was eye-opening to a lot of people is what I've been saying was the media clapping. You get into a screaming match with an official, you say that you wouldn't cheat because you're a mom, and then you try to turn it into a meditation on sexism in your post-match press conference, and the sports media all claps for you. I think that should be eye-opening to a lot of people. Wait a minute. Maybe they're not just unbiased members of the sports media. And there's difference. Like, I am an opinion person, right? So I try to be fair, but I'm in the opinion business. Those sports writers who were clapping are supposed to be just writing about Serena Williams' match. And instead, they're endorsing her ludicrous, crazy, conspiracy-laden idea that this minority judge is judging against her because she's a woman. She's playing a woman. Like, that doesn't even make remote sense. And she's in the wrong, and she got caught doing something outside of the rules and punished for it, and she turns it into an example of sexism? Judy in Colorado. What's up, Judy?
It was funny. I got pulled over by the cops yesterday for speeding, and I told them I wasn't speeding. I'm an uncle, and it didn't seem to work out. But yeah, no, Serena, she's complaining because she got this point and game penalty for breaking the racket or whatever. You get a couple strikes. If she would have just broken the racket, it would have been fine. If it was just her coach, it was the third strike, and she kept badgering the ref. And, eventually he has to go by the rules, and of course she turns it into something that it totally wasn't. And, but anywho, I'm an uncle, and uncles buy tennis rackets too,
Thanks for the call. I do think it's funny. The next time you do something wrong, if you say, I'm a mom or I'm a dad, there's a great example. You get pulled over for speeding. The cop comes up to your window and he's like, hey, I got you going to 80 and a 55. Like, that might be true, officer. But it's important for you to know that I am a dad. It's important for you to know that I am a mom. It's important for you to know that I've got a niece. I'm an uncle. I'm an aunt. Officer be like, what are you talking about? That's Serena. Nobody would call her on.